Guys, welcome back to a brand new tech review. It's been months since my last one, and this is one I've been trying to get out for a while now, especially because I start school in just a few days. Actually, as of recording this, I only have 2 days till I start school, and so I want to get this out, quick before I begin school. And today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 8 in 2020. Last time I did this, it was in September. It was like a week after I got this phone. But now I've had this phone for basically 11 months, so I have a lot of personal experience with it. So basically, all the stuff that I say or what I review from my personal experience, I've experienced it, and I know what it's like. So anyways, without further ado, let's begin today's tech review. So the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus came out in September of 2017, just 2 months before the release of the iPhone 10. These were supposed to be the last iPhones with the home button, but then the SE came out a couple months back, just 2.5 years later after the release of the iPhone 10. This phone basically came out for those who wanted a cheaper phone that has the iPhone 10 specs, and also wanted to keep the older design with the home button. The design of the iPhone 8, in my opinion, is probably one of the best designs ever. It goes all the way back to the iPhone 6, but it's much more refined because it has glass front and back, and it has aluminum sides, which in my opinion is pretty durable, even though I use this in an OtterBox case. But if you guys remember what I had a problem with my 6, where it cracked in an OtterBox case, and this guy I have dropped repeatedly so many times with this case, and it's still alive. Well, my screen protector cracked, but it protected the phone, so technically it did its job, and yeah, this thing is pretty durable. The design also goes all the way back to the iPhone 4 and 4S, as it has a glass back, although it's missing the stainless steel frame, but you can find that on the iPhone 10 and newer iPhones. But with that glass back, it makes this phone more fragile. While it is pretty durable from my experience, I would still recommend you get a case. My personal case that I use on my iPhone is OtterBox Defender, and it's a pretty good case. Even though it's super damn bulky, it still works for me very well with no issues at all. The iPhone 8 comes in a variety of colors, being gold, space gray, silver, and product red. This gold 8 Plus I have here is my dad's old 8 Plus, but I'm just using it for B-roll. Also comes in 64 and 256 gigabytes. Although back in September, Apple released a 128 gigabyte version for it, but they discontinued it with the release of the iPhone SE back in April. The iPhone 8 also comes in 2 size options, and they both have Apple's Retina display, which looks pretty good. The regular 8 is sized at 4.7 inches and has a resolution of 750 by 1334 and has a pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. So it's your average LCD display, it's not bad at all. And this here is actually my mom's iPhone 7, but the design is pretty similar. It's just made of aluminum. The 8 Plus jumps to a 5.5 inch display with a resolution of 1080 by 1920 and pixel density of 401 pixels per inch. So the quality will look a little bit better, but you won't really notice a difference in day-to-day usage. This does not have an OLED display, it has an LCD screen, but again, it still looks pretty good with that, pixel density. Most people don't really care, or, they can't really tell the difference too big between an OLED and an LCD display, so it's fine. If you're thinking about buying this phone and debating which size to go for, just get the one that probably fits best in your hand. However, there are some benefits to getting the 8 Plus over the 7. For one, you have a better camera with that extra telephoto lens, as well as a bigger battery, and also an extra gigabyte of RAM, so it'll be slightly faster, but I don't think you'll notice too much of a difference in day-to-day usage. It's not features you absolutely need, but if you want them, then I think you should get the 8 Plus over the smaller 8. Both phones have very fast Touch ID, and in fact, the home button is not an actual button, it's actually a capacitive button. Basically, when you press on it, it just mimics a click to make you think you're using an actual button. It feels a little weird at first, but trust me when I say you'll get used to it pretty quickly. Plus, less physical parts means less breakable parts, like what happened with my 6's home button. The iPhone 8 is also capable of 3D touch, something that the newer iPhone 11 doesn't have, although it has haptic touch. Basically, you hold on an app just by holding on the display and a little bit of menus will pop up, and it may not seem that useful, but trust me, when you're actually using this day to day, you'll actually find it comes pretty handy. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention, something else the 8 Plus does better than the smaller 8s is you can actually go into landscape mode when you're on the home screen, so that's pretty cool. The iPhone 8 also has an IP67 water resistance, so basically you can have it in the water for up to 1 meter for 30 minutes, so basically 30 feet. I wouldn't recommend using it in the pool. It's basically meant to avoid accidental splashes, or if it falls in like the toilet, or you know like the sink or something like that. That's basically what it's meant for. It's not really meant for using it in the pool. Also, it's worth mentioning that if your phone cracks, then your phone will no longer be water resistant. And I mean, it sort of loses its water resistance with time, so be aware of that. If you maybe throw it in the pool and you use it, it could maybe, start having problems. One flaw of the iPhone 8 is that you actually don't have a headphone jack, which is kind of a pity, but I've gotten used to it. I'm using AirPods every day anyways, but sometimes when my AirPods die and, I use my wired earbuds and my phone is running low on battery, it can be a little inconvenient, but for the most part, it doesn't really bother me. Most phones don't have headphone jacks anymore, so it's not a problem at all for me because, I have AirPods again. Battery life on the iPhone 8 is going to vary device to device depending on how used it's been over the years. But considering these phones are about to turn 3 years old this September, most of these batteries might be worn out, so that's something to keep in mind if you're gonna buy this used, because they don't sell this brand new anymore. Also, varies on the size you get. The smaller 8 has a 1821 milliamp hour battery, which is fine, and it probably get you through the day with light usage. But if you're a power user, then you might want to consider keeping a charger nearby, or just go for the 8 Plus, because that has a much bigger battery at 2691 milliamp hour battery. In my experience, it lasts a very long time, or at least a little less than when I first got it, because my battery has degraded significantly, sort of. My battery was brand new when I bought it, and it lasted me the whole day, but now it sort of lasts me about 6 to 7 hours before I need to recharge it, which is not bad. It's livable. Also, it is worth mentioning that Apple does slow down iPhone 8s with bad batteries. So if you have a bad battery, you can check in these settings and just go on battery and check the battery capacity. And it'll give you an option to throttle the CPU, which will slow your phone down, although it'll give you more battery life. Or you can always turn that off, and your phone will be at full speed, but your battery might randomly die. So maybe the thing to do if your battery's worn out is just go to Apple altogether to get your battery replaced. Apple only charges $49 to replace your battery in the iPhone 8, which is actually a pretty decent deal. So if you're having trouble, just take it to the Apple Store if the Apple Store near you is open, because remember, most of these are closed due to a certain global issue right now. Another point I wanted to touch on next on the iPhone 8 is the camera, and the camera is still pretty good to this day, even 3 years later. In fact, I could even say it could possibly still compete with some newer smartphones. The rear camera has 12 megapixels, and it can record video in up to 4K at 60 frames per second. The 8 Plus again has that secondary telephoto lens, which not only allows for 2 times more zoom, but it can take portrait photos, as seen something like this. Newer smartphones have definitely improved a lot with the portrait photos, but the iPhone 8 Plus still takes pretty good portrait pictures. But it's worth mentioning this doesn't have portrait selfies like the iPhone 10 and newer. But again, it's still pretty good. But the smaller 8 doesn't have all the newer features like that. It's just like a main normal camera with, better quality. The selfie camera I won't talk too much about because it's your average selfie camera. It's 7 megapixels and it can record video in 1080p at 30 frames per second. And as you would expect for your average selfie camera, it looks pretty decent. It's definitely not as great as the newer iPhone 11, but both cameras, the rear and the selfie camera, they still hold up today, even 3 years later. And if you have this phone, or you want to get this phone for the camera, then you will not be disappointed. But anyways, here are a few photo examples that I took on this phone for you guys to see for yourself. This right now is video being taken on the iPhone 8 Plus, and it looks very good. Hitting on the performance, this phone is still extremely fast even 3 years later. It carries Apple's A11 chipset and either 2 or 3 gigabytes of RAM depending if you have the smaller or the Plus model in their respective orders. Both phones are still extremely fast even on iOS 13, and they should continue to perform that way for the next couple years. I don't know how it performs on iOS 14. I haven't really tested it with the betas because I don't like installing betas on my personal devices, but from what I've seen online, this phone still performs like a beast on iOS 14. And again, it should continue to perform very well for the next at least 2 to 3 years before it starts to slow down a little bit. Looking at the Geekbench score here, you can see that it's still a pretty capable device by today's standards. Pretty much anything you do on the iPhone 8 is going to fly, whether it's gaming, watching videos, or social media, just you name it, this phone will do it, and we will have no issues at all whatsoever. In fact, performance-wise, it's not really that much different from the newer iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. And that's because Apple hasn't really done much to their internals for their iPhones ever since the iPhone 7, which means that all those phones still perform pretty much identical, and they perform great today. Downloading any app should not be a problem at all whatsoever since it's on the latest firmware and it has very good specs. You can pretty much download anything you want to download with no problems at all, and you can even run Apple Arcade on it, which is actually pretty cool. And again, it should continue to be this way for the next couple years. So to sum it all up, the iPhone 8 is a great phone. It runs fast, has a pretty good camera, and overall is a very good phone. And I especially love it with the big size because it's convenient for me to watch, movies or TV shows on Netflix or Disney Plus or wherever I can watch any type of TV programming or movies, for example. And again, if you're debating on getting this phone, just go for the phone that would fit best in your hand. Or if you just want to go all out, you could always go for the iPhone 8 Plus. I'd probably just buy that just for the battery and the camera. But is the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus really worth buying now? Well, let's take a look. Apple does not sell this brand new anymore. They discontinued it in April with the release of the 2020 iPhone SE. So if you want to buy this phone, you might have to buy it used, or you can always buy it on contract. I'm pretty sure there should still be some $0 deals, or you can always buy this used. So let's talk about pricing. On eBay, you can find the regular iPhone 8, the smaller one, for about $250, which is actually pretty cool. The 8 Plus can be found for around $350, which is also a pretty good deal. And it's good considering last year I bought my phone for like $550. Probably because I got, the 256 gigabyte variant, but I spent more than 64, so if I bought that, I would have been frustrated with my storage. But yeah, prices are going to vary also depending on the condition and, the storage capacity you get. So if you want to get this phone, then yes, go for it. The 8 and 8 Plus are great phones, and again, they should hold up very well for the next few years. However, there are some alternatives that I would recommend buying. There is the iPhone XR, for example. You can buy this brand new on apple.com for around $600, or you can always look on ebay.com, and I think they have it for around $450 to $500, which is a pretty good deal. But there's also another better option. If you want a home button, or you want a phone with a home button that's, fairly new, I'd go for the 2020 iPhone SE. You can find it brand new on Apple for about $400, which is a heck of a deal. And if you look on eBay, you can even find them for as low as $300. So that's what I probably would recommend over the 8. The 8 is still a good phone, and if you have one right now, you don't need to upgrade at all yet. But if you're looking into buying this, then I just recommend either the iPhone XR or the iPhone SE. But if you can find a good deal, then I say you should go ahead and jump on it. And yeah. So time to wrap up this tech review with the iPhone 8 is a great phone in 2020. If you have one right now, you don't need to upgrade for a while. If you're thinking about getting one, look into the iPhone XR or the iPhone SE. But if you find a cheap deal for the 8 Plus, then I would go for it. Or the iPhone 8, not just the 8 Plus. But yeah, that's going to be it for this tech review, this took me a lot of filming, a whole week of filming, and just like about a day or two worth of editing. And actually now, as of recording this, at the beginning of the video I said that, you know, it was 2 days before I started school, because I actually recorded all that voiceover yesterday. Now, as of recording this, I have school tomorrow. That's when it starts for me. So this is the last video I wanted to get out before I start school. And I know I didn't get out a whole lot of videos. I didn't do much Go Animate. I found another software called Wrapper offline, but I'm having trouble with that. Might try remastered again just for a little bit so I can fix that to film the video I was gonna do. But yeah, guys, so that's going to be it for this tech review. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I don't do these types of videos a lot. I just don't have much to review. Hopefully that can change in the future, because I definitely, if I want to start making a lot of tech reviews, I got to collect a bunch of technology. But yeah, so again, I start school tomorrow, so this is just the last video before the, my summer vacation is over. It wasn't really even a summer. The summer was garbage, except for a couple days. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.